So the platform economy. The platform economy is a word that's been termed in the last few years, but really in simple terms, what is the platform economy? It's the supply and demand economy. It's the economy where you have users and you have consumers. You have taxis and you have people that use the taxis. And the taxi owner could use the taxi one day and the taxi owner could use the taxi driver the next day. That's the platform economy. If you look at the biggest, most successful companies in the world and in South Africa today, they are the platform economy. The products days are over. The platform days are started. It's at the early stages, but those are going to be the winners in the long run. The ones that create platforms. If you look at the Y Group, it's created a platform where all the other apps integrate into the Y Group. If you look at Discovery, they are really a platform company, and that's why they're having so much success. So a lot of the talking we do and investment we make, we look at the next platform that's going to fundamentally disintermediate the next organization. And the beauty about platform companies, they use assets that are not owned by themselves. So they're very capital light. They don't get taxi drivers, or they don't get, let's take iTunes or Apple as an example, where you go write all your apps. Apple doesn't own those writers. Apple doesn't pay 1 cent for that. But Apple gets 10 or 20% of every single time someone downloads an app. That's a true platform. Biggest mistake that Bill Gates made, or not Bill Gates, Steve Jobs made in the 80s and 90s, he closed the Apple ecosystem completely. He made it his own ecosystem, and he absolutely just about wrecked the company. When he came back in the 90s, he realized he needed to make it more open, and he opened it up, and now they're probably one of the most successful tech companies in the world. Artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence, yeah, it's an interesting one. I see, and we don't even see them, but I'll probably get 10, 20 business plans, decks of artificial intelligence companies. Artificial intelligence is changing the world. There's no question about it. But the challenge we've got, and what we see is, it's like the gold rush of the 1849. You've got to sift through all the gravel to get to the gold, to get to the real, true AI companies that are solving real problems. A lot of the AI companies are, if you do this, then you do this, and then I do this. That's not artificial intelligence. That's straight closed-loop programming. That's not AI. But with the converging technologies of big data, analytics, computing power, bandwidth, storage, converging together, it's enabled artificial intelligence and big data to basically change the world. I believe this is going to be the biggest innovation and biggest disruption that's going to take place, even bigger than the internet, bigger than blockchain, that's going to take place over the next 5 to 10 years. So what is this little slide I'm showing you here? This was, the guys who know Singularity University, this was a prize, something called the X Prize Foundation, and it was a prize given by Peter de Manders and his team to any organization that could invent a mobile device that could diagnose healthcare problems better than 10 certified board practitioners in the United States. It took about 1.5 years, but about 6 months ago, this prize was awarded to a company, I'm not even sure where the company was, and they paid them the $10 million. But that mobile device now, as I said, is better than 10 board certified physicians. Yes, it's got its little air things. You can take a prick of your blood. But now you can imagine how this can be used in Africa, or any place where there's maybe one doctor to 1 million people, that you can self-diagnose yourself at the cost of a mobile phone. And that you can see how medicine and how meditech and how that sort of technology is being disintermediated by these sort of devices. What else is in artificial intelligence? I read such an interesting story the other day. Again, because the ability with these data sets and the speed that machine learning and computing power and quantum computing that's coming in very quickly now can process data. They looked at all the court cases for about the last 50 years in America. And they looked at people that were on parole. And they couldn't do it before because they just didn't have the processing power to actually do this. It would have taken thousands and thousands of people. And they looked at the people and they scanned this all into artificial intelligence using big data, and they found that when there was judges sitting on a parole application, people that were going up for parole before lunch, 30% of them, 30% higher people actually were sent back to jail. That their cases were heard before lunch. After lunch, 30% less. Now, can anyone imagine why that would be the case? Because they're hungry. They're hungry before lunch and they just want to get it over and done with. They say, you go back to jail, don't worry about it. First off, go back to jail for 10 years. And that's statistical data. That's real data. And I mean, you can just imagine how these biases, that everyone thought there was no biases about sending back to jail. The biases are completely coming out. The people are biased based on artificial intelligence. And there's many, many stories I could tell you how AI is changing the world. There's so much AI coming out in South Africa in call centers. You know, just people, if you look at AI, voice recognition or text recognition, we saw some great companies. I was one of the judges, myself and one of the other board members, Gil, at the Techstars events. I was also one of the judges, as well as Gil, as the startup bootcamp events in Cape Town. and we saw a number of AI companies using chatbots or using bots to disintermediate call centers. They say in 2022, 85% of any call center around the world, and think about how many jobs that is, are going to be replaced by bots. You're going to be talking to a machine, you're not going to be talking to a person. So you won't get this put me on hold and blah, 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 blah. You'll be talking to a machine. That's how disruptive this artificial intelligence is. Just the Internet of Things. Now, we've all heard of the Internet of Things. Now, this is really interesting. Just imagine a world. Imagine a world where any small asset, any asset you've got in your house, any asset, could become an intelligent device and communicate with the world around it. Just imagine the opportunities this would create for businesses, to generate revenue, for consumers, to lead a better quality of life. This is in buildings, this is in your homes, this is in your clothes that you wear. So you're finding everything is starting with the Internet of Things is starting to communicate. There was an estimate done by Ericsson that there would be 5 billion devices by 2020. That's been revised to 50 billion, to 500 billion by 2020. 500 billion devices interconnected talking to each other. There's 6-7 billion people on the planet. We're talking about 500 billion interconnected devices. We are seeing these technologies from internet sensor technology for before a geyser burst, to sensor the geyser's going to burst. Imagine what does to insurance companies. A huge portion of insurance claims are about the damage that water does when a geyser bursts. We're seeing a number of other use cases. If you look at Vodacom, they rolled out something called IoT Narrowband. And narrowband is to enable all these IoT devices to connect. So they could be IoT devices in big buildings, they could be underneath the ground, all these sensors. And this narrowband frequency enables you to pick up the sensors that are well underground. Imagine the water reticulation problems we're having in South Africa. I was working in the UK many years ago, this is many years ago, and we were putting in these IoT devices into the Thames water system, and we could proactively address a problem. But another use case I saw, so we're predicting 500 billion by 2020, and I'll show you the next slide we're predicting by 2030, which is just an incredible number. But again, I'm talking about the opportunities this is creating for entrepreneurs and the opportunities it's creating for us as a venture capital company, and hopefully all of you as potential investors in investing in the company. Another example is, and I saw this slide, it was really interesting, was some guy, not a little bit overweight, but he was quite overweight, went into McDonald's, and he ordered a Big Mac and fries, and he had a little sensor in his belt over here, and he went to his mobile phone to pay, and the mobile phone connected to his sensor in his belt and said, "Hey, Fatso, you can't order this, order a salad." That's reality. So science fiction has become science fact. Science fiction has become science fact. Now, I told you that 10 years ago you would have said, you're smoking something. That's reality. That's just simple use cases of what's happening with the Internet of Things. And it's not even called the Internet of Things anymore. If you look where it's going, I don't know what you're doing. But if you look where it's going to 1 trillion connected devices using low bandwidth in the next by 2050. So just think about, and we see entrepreneurs taking advantage of this. We're actually speaking to a couple about potentially making investments in the Internet of Things thing. So for me, with artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, there's so many of these very, very disruptive technologies that are going to solve significant problems that could not be solved before for businesses, because you never had the bandwidth, you never had the computing power, you never had the data. And they're taking this data, they're turning it into information, they're turning the information into outcomes, and they're turning the outcomes into results. Better performance, reduced efficiencies, reduced costs, and higher revenues. And that's what these technologies are basically doing. I'm not going to talk much about the blockchain race. The blockchain race is on. There are going to be winners and losers, there's no doubt about it. We think the one we've invested in, and Larry's going to talk about, is going to be one of those winners. But everyone's jumped on the blockchain bandwagon, not they jumped on the artificial intelligence bandwagon, but there's just hundreds of them. And what's interesting, that slide I showed you earlier about the investments, the most investment in South Africa, pro rata of the number of companies, has actually gone into blockchain companies. And as Lauren was saying as well, there's so many use cases for blockchain. I mean, Kodak, the one I spoke to you about earlier, it's just a use case for blockchain. One of the funniest I've seen is there's a lot of blockchain companies that are in gaming. In fact, Gil, who spoke earlier, has got a gaming company that they've just raised some capital through an initial coin offering. But the one that most interesting I was reading about yesterday, I think we just got a dog at home, was about something called Crypto Kitties. Now, Crypto Kitties is a game that you build this kitty, this very good-looking kitty, and you trade these kitties using the Ethereum blockchain. And one kitty, they've already spent something like, I think it's 200 million rand being invested in these kitties. And the most expensive kitty, as of about 3 weeks ago, was about 2 million rand. Someone bought a kitty using cryptocurrency on the Ethereum blockchain, this thing called cryptocurrency, Crypto Kitties. The world's gone mad, but they're spending this type of money on Crypto Kitties as a game. But as you can see, it's disrupting blockchain, I'm a firm believer in blockchain. I'm a real believer. There are going to be some bad and good, but I believe blockchain is going to solve real problems with this distributed immutable ledger. And we are looking as an organization, to find the right blockchain companies like we have already in one. We're looking for, it's not we invest in blockchain, we invest in companies that solve big problems. If they solve big problems and they use blockchain, that's great, because blockchain is a great technology. But we don't per se invest in blockchain, we invest in companies that solve business problems. Insurance tech. If I look at insurance tech, it's been the one part of tech that's really been, insurance tech is probably 5 to 7 years behind financial technology, behind banking technology. But I've seen, if you look at the amount of investment going into fintech globally, it's quadrupled in the last 1 or 2 years. There's so much money going to insurtech because it has been a laggard, it has been slow, but I think the insurance companies are realizing that it's not just about, if you look at the insurance value chain, if you look at this next slide, it's not just about disintermediating the underwriting process or the claims management process. It's right there from the underwriting, distribution, product development to the claims management. And we actually talking to a company now, we're looking at making investment with 3 other venture capital companies, 2 in the Cape Town and one in Mauritius, is about insurance on demand. So as you buy your cell phone or as you buy any device, you can just take out insurance right there. Not have to go and contact your broker. It's cheap insurance, it's underwritten by Guardrisk and other companies, but it's also, that's just the first product they're launching. And they're already getting traction in VFix, and they're going on some of the big e-commerce sites. They're already on about 5-10 sites, and they're looking at growing a number of different products. But that's what we've seen in the insurance space, and we've seen so many from microinsurance, as this slide shows, to coverage on demand. Coverage on demand and microinsurance is becoming huge. There's a company in America, anyone heard of Lemonade? So Lemonade is just blowing the lights out of microinsurance. So what Lemonade do is they just are an on-demand insurance company. They take out demand. They really are a personal and household insurance company, and they pass back some of the whatever the savings are, they pass it back to their shareholders. So very innovative. It's raised a lot of capital. It's really got a few hundred million clients. But we're also seeing a lot of coverage on demand. So you can, if you want to go skydiving for a day, you can take life insurance for a day. If you want to go rent a bike or go on a crazy drive for 3 days, you can take insurance out for 3 days. So market insurance and on-demand insurance. Very big, and we've seen a lot of these companies, and this is the one we're investing in, is a coverage on-demand type of plan. So that really is just, I'm giving you a very helicopter view at the pace that I speak at about some of the technology we're seeing, but more importantly, the opportunities for investors to invest in our fund, where we can take an equity stake in these companies, we buy them, we build them, and we flip them. So the question that I asked you, is this an opportunity for entrepreneurs? I believe absolutely there's fantastic opportunities for the great entrepreneurs to build the next fantastic 10x companies. And I think what's important here, what we look at, again, if you listen to Peter Demandes, we don't talk about the linear type of entrepreneurs. I'll take 30 steps up and walk across the stage and I'll get you there. That's linear. That's the plus 10% you're going to make on the company. We talk about exponential entrepreneurs. Exponential, 1, 2, 4, 8, 60, 32, 60, 128, 256, 512. That's what we talk about. That's the type of exponential entrepreneurs that we're looking to invest in, and we want to make an exponential return. So a minimum 10 times our money. We put 10 million in, we want to make 100 million within a space of 5 years. But the thing with these exponential companies, you find in the tech space, it doesn't take 20 years to build a tech company. Look at Instagram. In 18 months, they sold for $1 billion. 18 months sold for $1 billion. That's what you see. You can find, you can buy these companies, build these companies, exit these companies in a much, much shorter period of time. So these are the exponential entrepreneurs we're investing in that have a massively transformative purpose, and it can solve a problem for 1 billion people. Because if you can solve a problem for 1 billion people in Africa, you can create $1 billion company. And that's the type of companies we are looking for. What's our vision? The Kalon vision. Got that one wrong. The Kalon vision is to become the preeminent venture capital company in South Africa, investing in entrepreneurs, solving African problems. The lovely thing about being in South Africa, the volume of South Africa, it's got problems. Africa's got problems. This is the land, in my opinion, of opportunity for technology, leapfrogging all the old things that never happened in Africa, and leapfrogging the use cases, solving these problems with the use of technology. So that's the vision, to become the #1 and preeminent venture capital company. Kalon 2.0, so we were formerly known as GrowTech. Remember the first time we launched capital was known as GrowTech. We are not more about venture beyond capital, about smart capital. And what we mean by smart capital, for one, the word Kalon is about high integrity. Beauty is more than skin deep. It's about a very high integrity, high touch organization. And we provide smart capital to our investors. So we don't just provide capital, Capital is the easy part. That's we've got 100 million we've raised today. We're looking at raising another 150 million by the end of February next year. We're looking to raise something between up to 150 million now. But the point is, it's about mentorship capital. We mentor our entrepreneurs. It's about social capital. It's about, we've got our board consists of over 200 years experience in business, in tech, in whatever it might be, in venture capital. That's the experience we've got as a board and a team. That we open doors and we even, companies we haven't even invested in, we're opening doors in. We talk about relational capital. That's again using relational. We talk about human capital. As businesses scale, the first thing they've got to scale is their people. We need access to unbelievable human capital that we can introduce to this business to actually help them scale. And what's really interesting about what's happening in South Africa now is, when I started in BC 5 years ago, there was hardly an American or European BC playing in Africa. There was a couple of African BCs playing in Africa. What you're finding now is more and more and more money is pouring, and I'll talk more about data, into the South African and African venture capital space. We've seen all these narratives. We've seen from the hopeless continent in 2000, Africa rising, to aspiring Africa. And I could go on with these narratives. You can see it on The Economist, on Times magazine, but there's no doubt the world has woken up. That Africa is the new frontier. There are significant opportunities in Africa that people are going to make a lot of money. 60% of adults, as I said earlier, are unbanked. The inequality versus the equality in Africa is unacceptable. It needs to be more financial inclusion. And these products and these entrepreneurs that are creating these financially inclusive products are going to take it, what they call the missing middle in Africa, the 400 million people. McKinsey actually, I'll talk about in a month. So the 400 million people that they call about the missing middle, they're not addressable and they're not accessible. And I'm going to talk in the next slide about smartphone penetration and tablet penetration, that these 400 million people that have got discretionary income, they can buy e-commerce, they can buy financial services, they can take out loans, they can transfer money, they can do all these things that are adding to the economy because they are addressable and accessible through that device. Through the device that I've got on my hip now, which is an iPad. So that's the point that's happening in Africa. Africa is definitely rising, and Africa is definitely open for business. And we are at the tip of Africa, and we believe we're at the perfect place to innovate this technology and export this technology north into the rest of the world. This is really interesting, this slide, because you might not believe me, but we talk about 2020, there'll be 6 billion people connected to the internet. And probably 800 million of those will be connected in South Africa. 800 million smartphones, 800 million phones in South Africa. There was 1% of people in Africa in 2000 had phones. 80% of people by 2020 will have phones. Now just think about what that means. Now that tablet device I'm showing you there, you won't believe that tablet device now, which is an Android tablet device, goes for $8. $8. Now if you look what's driving all this unbelievable innovation, what's driving it is Moore's Law. Moore, who was the CEO of Intel, I think it was Stephen Moore, in 1956 or 1946, came up with what's called Moore's Law, which doubles the technology capability every 12 to 18 months and halves the price of the technology every 12 to 18 months. And that's been going on long before Stephen Moore invented it. It's been going on for the last 100 years since the steam engine. And every single year to 18 months, technology is doubling and the price of the technology is halving. And that's why all these technologies are becoming available. So that tablet device is $6. So if you think about Moore's Law, what's going to happen to that tablet device in a year? It'll be $3. In 2020, it'll be $1.50. And you can see where it's going. It's going to zero. So in a few years' time, that tablet device will be given out in the Cocoa Pops that your children eat. Why will it be given out? Because it's just a commodity. People need to give those things out because they want them to trade on that iPad device, to buy financial services, e-commerce, and all the other things that you can do on that. Mobile phones will be the same. Most mobile phones, you can get a $20 phone today. That's going to go down to zero as well. Because that will just be a commodity that every single mobile phone operator has to dish out. And this is not in Clive's opinion. This is the opinion of people I've spoken to in the industry in South Africa and people I've spoken to around the world as well. So you can just see those 4 or 5 billion people, 800 million people in Africa are going to have the facility and ability to be accessible and to be addressable. I mean, Sub-Saharan Africa is still the fastest growing mobile phone market in the world. And as I said, 800 million smartphones in Africa by 2020. So it's changing the world, guys. It's changing the world for Africans to start trading, to reduce this inequality, to take people out of financial exclusion and include them in the economy. And as soon as you can start using those mobile devices, even with the products that Lauren was talking about doing, whether it's the blockchain or any other technology, it doesn't matter. It enables them to start buying things, they've got discretionary income, and become part of the mainstream economy. Necessity breeds innovation. And this is absolutely true what's happening in Africa. If you look at America, a lot of the innovation there is not necessity-driven, it's convenience-driven. Oh, I want to make it easier to do it, and it's more convenient. Here is necessity-driven. we've gone from no phones or wireless, from nothing to mobile phones. We never had wired phones in Africa. We were fortunate enough in South Africa to have that, but in Africa they never had that. So they've leapfrogged this technology, but necessity has bred this amount of innovation. And 54% of all payments globally, mobile payments globally, are made in sub-Saharan Africa. Small percentage of the global population, but 54%. Why? Because it's legal. Because it's the only way people can have bank accounts. What do people do currently? They keep the cash under the pillow. What do they do now? 54% can now trade using a mobile wallet. And hopefully that gets up with this innovation that's happening to 80% going forward. Very established board. I'm not going to go through the board. If you look at your desk, probably sitting on it, but there's a nice little Kalon executive summary. We've got a picture of all our board members, and during the Q&A you can ask more questions. You want to ask questions. I just want to talk quickly about Section 12J. Who knows what Section 12J is in the audience? Okay, let me ask you, who doesn't know what Section 12J is in the audience? Okay, a couple of hands. Section 12J was promulgated by SARS in 2009. It was to enable companies like ourselves, venture capital companies, to invest in early stage entrepreneurs, to help them build their companies, to hire people, to create employment, and obviously then to exit and sell their companies. So basically what you get, if you look at the very first column there, if you put R1 million in as an individual or a trust, today's marginal tax rate is 45%, so if you put R1 million into the fund, the minimum investment amount in the fund is 110,000 Rand. If you let's take R1 million, it's easier. You get a 450,000 Rand deduction from the tax relief, and your actual net investment into our fund is 550,000 Rand. So you give us R1 million, we give you a share certificate, we give you a tax certificate, and you pay nothing to SARS. So basically, it's immediately you get a 45% deduction on your taxable income. And that's where the 100 million we've raised to date has come from people like yourselves, predominantly, or one institutional investor who created that from a whole lot of high income investors. If you've got a corporate, you do the same thing, but you only get the corporate tax rate, which is 28%. I'm not going to go through these highlights. We had a fantastic 2017. And the things that I think, besides making free investments, great investments, I think the most important thing we did is we really connected to the venture capital community in South Africa, globally. We're talking to partners down in America, we're talking to partners down in Europe, taking our products overseas, potentially capital raising for us, potentially co-funding in opportunities. What we've done as well is we like to co-fund. So most of our investments we're making, we don't like to do it ourselves, we like to co-fund with other smart capital. So this is, we've made great progress in all the areas. We've got a great new website, www.kalonvp.com. If you want to have a look, there's a lot of content in there, all our investments in there, but you can have a look at that. Just very briefly, we see 400 companies, we've made 4 investments, and we're looking at probably about another 4 investments at the moment, 4 great companies, one of them I'm going to talk here today. Just quickly, I'm over time, but just quickly on the, what do we look for in investment? Because I want to give anyone who wants the money that we apply very strict due diligence. We're very vigilant before we make an investment. In fact, we've only invested in 4 or 500 companies. Then I call it the 4 T's of our investment strategy. We need the best team on the planet. We invest in people. At the end of the day, we invest in people. They've got to have a proven technology that's very, very disruptive. That's the exponential, 10 times better than anything else in the market. They need to have traction. We don't invest in angel investing. We don't invest in seed capital. We don't invest in ideas. We don't invest in teams. We invest in products that have got traction, that have got revenue, that are growing 10 to 20% month to month. And lastly, we want to invest in a very large targeted addressable market. A very large market, because we know if we want to get up 10 times return, it needs to be a large market. It might start out in a niche, but over time, to adjacent markets, or new markets, or African markets, or global markets, it's going to become a very big market. So as I said, that's the stage we invest in. Growth capital, it's not early stage, it's not seed capital, but it's growth capital. So to move over and hand over for myself, we've made 4 investments today. SMEs, we're going to have RPay, we're going to talk about. The Sun Exchange, we're going to talk about. We've got the CFO here. And then I'm going to do a brief video on Snap and Save, which unfortunately the CEO is paid and couldn't make it here today. So just a quick clip about RPay, and then I'm going to call Thomas up to give you a talk about that.
Introducing iPay, the best way to pay. However you choose to buy, we make EFT easy. It's simple. No apps, no registration, pay from any location. Swift, complete your payments in a few seconds. Secure, payments are safe and no sensitive data is stored. Simply select your bank, log in using your banking profile, verify with your one-time PIN, and your EFT payment is processed. Choose iPay, the best way to pay.
With that, I'm going to call up Thomas Pais, the CEO of RPay. Give him a round of applause.